What's up, no load time? Yes, I lost my voice at Comic Con. Oh my gosh. Today is Saturday, July 23rd, 2022, here at San Diego Comic Con. And today was the big Hall H day, the big day that everybody talks about, the thing that's going to be the news that we talk about for a long time and continue to get updates on. It was a huge day here at the convention, and I'm going to give you all a recap about all the stuff that I saw, the main stuff from DC and from Marvel. And I will tell you now, there will be spoilers ahead. So strap in, because I'm going to give you all as in-depth of a breakdown as I can right now. Although I am extremely tired, late yesterday, probably about 3 hours of sleep here. But it was all worth it for everything we saw, everything we got to do today. Myself and everybody around. I think everybody here had a blast. As news is already making its rounds. I will be uploading, just like I did with the other panels, as much as I can on our YouTube channel. So make sure that you are watching and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because you'll get all this footage. There's a lot of basically the Marcel's animation and the DC early morning one. The footage, as you probably noticed, unfortunately, a lot of technical issues there. I am working to get all that re-uploaded, so please stay tuned. I just want to make sure I got you something quick, so you had something. I think something was better than nothing, right? But I want to make sure I get you guys some quality stuff coming through, so stay tuned for all of that. Without further ado, let's get into today's stuff. Guys, DC starts off the panels for the day, and they had a really good showcase. I will start off saying that it was a really good showcase. The showmanship was really good. However, it was not exactly what most of us predicted. I gotta be transparent. I thought they would have more than just two movies that they talk about, like an hour-long panel. There's no way they're just gonna talk about two movies, and well, they did. They only talked about Shazam: Fury of the Gods, which is the Shazam sequel, and they also talked about the Black Adam movie, which to me that was the biggest show-stopping moment that they had. Nothing. Shazam was fine; it wasn't bad, but definitely Black Adam is the thing that was really, it sold me on it, and I'm not saying I was against the movie, but it wasn't something that I had on my list. But after what they showed us, definitely I'm locked in now. So with Shazam: Fury of the Gods, opened up, Tiffany Smith was the host, and she brought out Zachary Levi. Pretty cool. They opened the stage actually opened up from the middle, like the screens literally opened, and Zachary comes in with lightning strikes going around. It was a pretty cool moment, and then they ended up showing us a nice little sizzle reel, of a bunch of footage from the show, the movie. And in the sizzles that we saw, it was like basically a big hype bit in the bit, they showing the most of the stuff that you have seen in the trailer that was released. But the difference was they cut it for Comic-Con, because like they had like a scene in the end where he's like, where'd you meet these guys? And he's like, Comic-Con, like, what the character says. And it's like that's how they all became friends, obviously. Doing that for the fans because they're in Comic-Con, right? So I'm not gonna say that it was a bad trailer. It was good. It was a nice thing, but I felt like it was what we would expect from the movie. I'm trying to remember what was the phrase he coined it as, Shazamily or Shazam family, something like that was the phrase that the actors were referring to them as. Basically, the Shazam family, right, together, as we saw at the end of the first Shazam movie. All Shazam and his his adoptive family that he is with, that they all get those powers with him of the gods. So they are continuing obviously on that trend. And then you also had a good look at Lucy Liu, Helen Mirren. Was amazing to see them in the footage that we saw. Definitely, I think that helps balance out that goofiness that could be with Shazam, which I felt was one of the things I actually liked about the first movie. Was you had Mark Strong, being a really good villain in that movie. So when you have Shazam, it's like, okay, it's this kid, learning his way, and then you have this villain that's like literally going through like the temptations and like the sin, the deadly sins, like he's like taking on the powers of, and like showing like somebody who's learning, like using their power for good and learning how to be better, and this other person who's just going complete opposite, and they use that to balance out in the sense of also like, let's just not be, oh yay, like it's this kid having powers, but it made like real stakes involved. And I thought that was something I liked with the first one. Not to get on a tangent, but I think that's something that I could be going on from the footage we saw here, that Helen Mirren is like very serious, and it's these two goddesses, her and Lucy Liu, their characters are these ancient goddesses, so they're obviously angry, it's fury of the gods, right? So they didn't go into what the actual storyline is, which is they just teased little tidbits, which was a little strange. I thought they'd give them more of a plot synopsis, but they didn't. But regardless, what they did break down was pretty interesting. Again with these characters, Helen Mirren was not there, and the actress from West Side Story, I believe is Rachel Zegler. I believe they said her name was. Pardon me, guys. I'm not great with the names. I'm trying to do better and trying to learn. So I mean no disrespect at all. But they sent in like a video to Hall H, just kind of saying how they were happy to be a part of this franchise. They couldn't make it there. It was really nice. Shazam wrapped up. Most of the stuff you guys have seen probably already come out on the internet from that. Pretty cool. Then Black Adam. Ho, ho, ho. Okay, so room goes black. We start hearing these voices of like, basically it sounds like these, maybe like it's like I'm assuming it's like the Egyptian gods or something, like speaking about him, like you'll be powerful and you'll be the whatever, like these things, or smoke comes rolling through onto the stage, literally just swarms us. Lights start flashing, and then comes rising up out of the smoke The Rock, fully in Black Adam costume, with electricity flowing from him onto the screens all around us. And then he takes his powers and throws it forward. And they gave us all these. I'm still wearing them. Kind of looks like bling. These Pix Mob necklaces. And these start lighting up at the timing when he throws, as if he's throwing his electric powers at us, and just shocking Hall H with everyone in attendance. It was an amazing. I mean, I was like, is this a panel, or is this a show? Like am I like Lanuba or something? Like, I mean, it was incredible seeing The Rock just all the way up in the air, just controlling and doing these. It was so cool, and he, of course, hyping it up, says something along the lines like, I told you all, the DC universe will never be the same. Everything changes now. And then the lights go blacking out. He comes off the stage. Host comes back on the stage. She's like, oh, this is crazy. What just happened? Everybody, this is so cool. Whatever. Brings out the JSA cast. And The Rock ends up joining them afterwards. And he's like, oh, I heard Black Adam just came out here. He's dressed in his regular outfit, not in the costume that we saw him just a moment ago in. So it was cool that, he's playing off of it. It was really nice. Dwayne gave a beautiful, just admonishing, the cast there and Comic-Con as a whole, and saying like this was always the plan, something he's always wanted to do, something that he's always like wanted to be here, really pushing stuff. Really appreciate working with the director, and did not give any further details or information that people were thinking, okay, maybe we were going to talk about Superman or some of that. And actually, they had a quick Q&A where fans could come up and ask questions. For both, they did that with Shazam, and they did it with Black Adam. And the question was asked, like, straight up to him, Dwayne, who would win in a fight, Black Adam or Superman? And The Rock said, like, don't get me excited. I could be talking about this for a long time. Something along those lines. And then he said, it depends on which Superman it is. But he'd be willing to go toe to toe, and he's not backing down. That he thinks Black Adam's the best, which is what you wanted him to say, right? It was fun, cool. And then we got footage that we saw first few minutes of the movie. Not minutes, sorry, specifically a scene from the movie, and in that scene, it's these explorers are in these ancient ruins. You have all the armored guards around, and in comes when the archaeologists, or when they're like come to this specific area, they recite whatever the writings are, written in like the Egyptian like hieroglyphics, like on the wall, whatever language and writing that was in, and they say what it is, and then out comes the Black Adam, and of course naturally these guys just start shooting at him because whatever. And it's a crazy scene where he just starts destroying. I mean, in some ways, like when it's always been said that Shazam and Black Adam are basically, they're not the same, but they're basically like the closest thing to Superman. This to me, like Black Adam, is like The Rock playing The Rock's Superman, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how else to phrase it, but like he totally like fully embraced the Superman kind of strength and speed and powers that is naturally the way Black Adam's supposed to be anyways. And of course he does have his electrical god powers, that Egyptian thing that he has. So he has that stuff too, that he uses in the scene. But it was, when I tell you, it was violent. An actual physical arm gets chopped off in the scene. And actually the bones, he chokes a guy out and literally just disintegrates a guy all the way till his skull's bones go down. And it was pretty intense, but a well executed action sequence. And he flies out of this cave after destroying all these dudes. Flies out of this like cave, and of course the other crew has like these helicopters, like with weapons pointed at him. Like, oh, do we shoot him? Like, open fire, and they just start shooting at him. Of course, like nothing goes off him. Which, by the way, in the earlier sequence, there's a moment where he literally just grabs in the middle of the air like a bullet as all the bolts are coming off of him. He grabs it, and he's like, it's like nothing for me. And as they shoot, and you're like, oh, we don't see him with the helicopter scene. He flies around. They see him on the side of the helicopter, grabs the other helicopter and throws it into the other one, just completely destroyed, and he just flies out. So it was just a high action sequence, a great sequence to show us there. I was not spoilery in my opinion by any means. It's just something that to me it was the right thing to show, because it just makes you go, wow, like, okay, this is not going to be like they've nerfed him in any way. This is they clearly have given him exactly whatever he wanted probably for this role, and that's awesome. So yeah, Black Adam, then DC, that was it. Shocker, I can honestly say that. And it was a great time. What a great way to open Hall H. Especially the Pix mob, glowing, and the powers in the audience and that kind of stuff. But we didn't get the screen that opens on the side, the widescreen thing, which I heard with Lord of the Rings yesterday. I wasn't in, as you guys know, I was at Marvel Studios, but I heard at the same time in Lord of the Rings they had something like that, and they actually had an orchestra that came out and played live, and Stephen Colbert hosted it. So that's cool. But for DC here, which they called it just the Warner Brothers Pictures panel, they stuck just to those two things, half an hour each, and I'm shocked. I did not think they would do that, but they did. So clearly, it's weird. When you watch the Shazam trailer, and I know it's out there right now from what I've seen online there loosely, quickly. they straight up in the trailer, right? Show, Shazam was talking like about, oh, there's already a guy in a red suit runs flat. It's the Flash, obviously. You're saying you definitely could tell it's Ezra Miller's Flash. And then you see, he talks about like Aquaman, like with the gray hair. Like, okay, well that's obviously Jason Momoa's, and he mentions Batman. It's Ben Affleck's Batman. So, like I don't know what if they're are you guys really rebooting this thing, or is that Snyder universe still a thing? Because all the characters are referencing and the versions are showing, clearly are that, where you would think if they really were trying to get away from that, and these are part of their next level stuff, you would think maybe would purposely show like Michael Keaton's Batman or something. I don't know, something like that. That's the way they want to go, but no, they're sticking to it. So that was interesting observance. Enough from that was pretty straightforward. There was a House of Dragons trailer, thing there. I think it's online already from what I know. There wasn't. I hate to say it. Even the people that were with me in the group, they are probably more aware of Game of Thrones than I am. The individual hosting it didn't have a whole lot of energy to him. It was his first time hosting a panel, and the cast did not seem very energetic. And even the statement was made, hopefully we have more than just one season. And the only thing, they didn't really make any reveals except saying that there's like 17 different dragons in the show. So I don't want to not cover it, but I also don't want you guys to think that they're missing anything crazy out there, because nothing too crazy happened. Obviously it was cool, George R. R. Martin there, seeing the creator, say what you will, it's just interesting, still, know that he's was there to be able to talk about a show coming up based on source material that he worked on. So that was interesting. He said he couldn't be on set at all for it because of the COVID pandemic when they were filming. He said he was not leaving his house during the pandemic, and he's being at Comic-Con now, he's maybe there's more stuff to come, but he can't say, except to say that he's been working on a book at his house over those last few years. So you would expect that from a writer, right? Using his time. So, that was pretty straightforward there. After that, Star Trek panels. Star Trek Picard Season 3. Last and final season of Picard. It was cool to see Patrick Stewart coming out again. He was explaining how he did not want to come back for Picard originally, because with it, they pitched him originally, and he just thought, this is just going to be like a, another thing that's just kind of like a cash grab is how he was describing it, really. But he was happy to be back after having a meeting with the creators, and they wrote like a 36 page, something like that, he said, draft of where they were taking the character and what their vision was, and that's what really sold him. Because if not, he's like, I just didn't want to do it. He actually had told them, I'm sorry guys, I'm nicely telling you I'm not doing this. So he's really passionate about getting it right, and sounded like the people that are really love Star Trek there, were pleasantly happy with what they saw. No trailer for that with season 3. Just a look at some of the suits and the costumes, and then lastly, in that one, Patrick Stewart mentioned that he may be sitting back in his original captain's chair, and that people have to see that in the season to come. So probably gonna happen. Just gotta wait and see. With the one after that, there was the Star Trek Lower Deck, I believe is the name of it. It's the animated show. Showed us the full trailer for that. So that was pretty straightforward. Just gonna jump through through that. Not much to say there, except to say that then when they went to the next show, Star Trek Strange Worlds, I believe, or Strange New Worlds, I believe was the name of it. Then they went to that. They explained that there's 2 characters from Star Trek Lower Deck that are actually going to be crossing over into their live action, and this tends, just hearing that, and it brought me back to yesterday's panel with what's going on with the Spider-Man show, Spider-Man freshman year, and thinking about the Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I was like, there's a trend going on where these large franchises are making animated shows and saying this is actually connected to a live action cinematic universe. These things are relevant. You need to watch this cartoon, not to understand, but because it actually is the same characters that you see in the exact same storyline, same characters, in a live action version. If you're watching, The Mandalorian season 3, and if you've never seen, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, or even Star Wars Rebels, you don't understand like the Siege of Mandalore and like about this the dark saber and all this. Like, it makes no sense to you. So it's necessary for the stories, and that's similar to what we saw with Star Trek, right? Where it's like they took an animated thing, took two characters from their animated, the exact same voice actors, came back on stage and said, "Hey, we're also playing our anime characters this time in live action on Star Trek Strange New World." So that was pretty cool. Jumping after that, I believe that's when we then got the Netflix Sandman panel. I gotta be honest with you guys, was not good. I was falling asleep in Hall H. I'll leave it at that. Comes out on Netflix. I believe it's like August 5th or something along those lines. The cast did not seem very enthusiastic coming out there on the stage. The creators, the showrunner, they probably had the most enthusiasm about even being there, but just didn't seem like something that unfortunately has a lot of things going for it. But when you have people will wait to watch it and be the judge of it, that's on you to do that, right? If that's something you're interested in. As for me, that's a swipe. So moving along, before that there was before Marvel there was Entertainment Weekly panel, and then we jump into Marvel, which is what a lot of people were there for. Marvel came out with a show. They start off right away. Kevin Feige comes on stage after a nice sizzle reel that goes on. The sizzle reel just says something like, it's been 3 years since we were last together. We've endured much. Basically saying it's good to be. And they said we're back home is literally what they said. And it was just showing various clips of various movies throughout the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it was just a big hype piece there of footage. And then before Feige comes on stage, Miss Minute shows up on the stage, and she's like, "Congratulations, everyone! You've made it to the end of time. You survived the apocalypse," is what she said, something like that. Everyone starts laughing, right? Obviously, we understand what she's referencing, and then she goes, "I'm going to introduce you today. The showrunner of this universe," something. I forget the exact phrase. I have it on video. Again, it's all going up. Super tired here, guys. Trying to do it all fresh. But Miss Mason says, announces, and Kevin Feige is coming on stage, and she looks over, and here comes Feige walking out on stage. Crowd applauses. Awesome. He comes up, says, "Hey, since the last time it's been a long time since we've been here. When we came here last time, we went through Phase 4. The big Phase 4 graphic comes up back on the screen, the big famous one, right?" And he's like, "Well, so let's talk about Phase 5. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they're doing it. I did not think they were going to do this." Phase 5. Let me pull up here, since I have this, the Phase 5 rundown. But my goodness, guys, it is absolutely crazy. So for Phase 5, the first thing we have is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania coming. We also have the Secret Invasion coming on Disney Plus. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Echo on Disney Plus. Loki Season 2, The Marvels, Blade, which is already in development, saying it's coming out in November of next year. So that was a big surprise for us. And Ironheart, Agatha, which it's a series. I don't necessarily think that there's gonna be much important there, but could be wrong. And Daredevil, Born Again, 18 episodes. That's right, 18 episodes. with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio coming back. Straight up said by Feige, right? And then you got Captain America 4 with Sam Wilson coming back in, New World Order. That's kind of the last one of that Phase 5. So yeah, that was a really cool rundown there. Of them showing what the next phase is. I was like, okay, this was, mind you, this is like only the first 4 minutes of an hour-long panel, and they just ran through titles for Phase 5, and I'm going, this is how you run Hall H, guys. Like, you just popping out stuff right away, giving us a great party early on. So, love that. They ended up then, running through and giving us, a quick look at She-Hulk. They brought the entire She-Hulk cast on stage. They talked about, how much everyone, was really, really happy to be a part of the project, how it's a good balance of the showrunner. She was explaining how she's like, it's a Marvel show. Like, we have our funny stuff, but we also have a lot of really good action in this show. So of course, all the fans, that's what we want to hear, right? We don't want to just, go to the comedy hour. We want to have, it's a superhero show, right? Give us the superpowers, give us all the fun stuff. They did confirm, and people, you've seen the trailer that came out today. Benedict Wong, is back as Wong in this series as well. So that was pretty cool. And then at the very end of that trailer, you get a cool glimpse at the one and only Man Without Fear, the Daredevil himself. Quick look at him, and it kind of looked like a new suit, but we'll see. Okay, so after that, then we had a cool rundown of you had Ant-Man and the Wasp. So for Ant-Man and the Wasp, they showed us the trailer, brought out the cast on stage, and it was, beautiful. That trailer was absolutely fantastic. I was like, wow, this is surprising that they actually had this whole thing cut already, ready right now to go. Peyton Reed coming out on stage saying, we're doing this thing. So I love that. Not much to say there except that MODOK was confirmed. Yes, MODOK is indeed in this movie. So that was a cool little quick glimpse. And then also having Jonathan Majors showing up as Kang the Conqueror in this show. And Kang is going to be one of those characters that's very significant for the future of Marvel. So obviously a big piece there. You also then have when you get into the with those announcements that they jump into Guardians of the Galaxy. With Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn came out on stage extremely emotional, brought out the cast and showed us a trailer. He explained to us how many years it's been since he did the first one. It's been 6 years, I think he said, since he'd been at Comic-Con, and explaining how a lot has happened in his life, and he was very thankful for the fans. And he's like, this is what we do it for. And that was the theme. The Rock said that. James Gunn said that today, literally straight up. We have to listen to the fans. So loved that, appreciate that. I think that's the right way to do it, guys. That's what Comic-Con is there. Get the blessing of the fans, because we're the ones who go out, spend our hard-earned cash, do the crazy stuff that I did, get 3 hours of sleep, whatever, just to enjoy these experiences together. So fun stuff. Very cool. So yeah, trailer comes through. That one I don't believe they're put online. So that one basically. Peter Quill is looks to be like he's with Nebula on a ship. He meets up with Gamora. Gamora doesn't recognize him still. Obviously doesn't know who he is. You kind of get the idea that the mission that they're on, which I'm trying to remember the name now of the villain that they explained here. It's all in the video. I'm so sorry, guys. Super tired here again. I will be fresh, probably doing more talking about this for sure on the podcast next week with Obed, because I have time to digest it more, and I have notes and all that good stuff. And you'll have video to look at. But Yeah, it was cool that they brought actually the villain out in full costume at the convention, walking around. It walks through the crowd in full makeup and in costume. So that was pretty cool. So he's like, I can't wait to do my dissecting on all of you, and I can't wait to see how you all work. And in the trailer, that's kind of what you get the idea. It's like young Rocket. It's very emotional, and like seeing like him literally doing these horrible, horrible, work to these people, to change them and manufacturing them. And I remember that scene was pretty, intense, pretty sad when you think about it in the first Guardians movie when Rocket, he's really in a bad place, and he's talking, and he's like, you don't know what it's like to be put back together over and over and over again. And he's just, he's broken in this moment as he's talking about it. And you hear that and you're like, wow, this guy's been through stuff. It's pretty harsh. And I think in this movie, you're clearly going to see that. And James was saying, I didn't have all the details figured out, obviously, but there was always this specific end goal where we are going in this movie. It is completing the end of the Guardians in the way that he imagined it. And everyone goes, oh, like sad that it's end. And he goes, and the end doesn't mean that everyone dies. And I was like, oh, okay. So he's basically saying, like, look, Guardians of the Galaxy movies probably done for now, not forever. But his Guardians of the Galaxy movie is probably done. But I mean, come on, guys. When I get to talking about this stuff, Guardians will be around just like how they were in Thor and whatnot, right? Really, really cool. The footage that was seen there. Still digesting it, but really just showed a lot of it was like a funny scene of like Quill, wearing these like suits, these space suits, with like all the other Guardians, and they're on some random planet, and he's trying to talk to Gamora and try to make her like remember, and Mantis is like, you do know we're all tapped in like on intercom, we all can hear you, and then like Drax is like, yeah, like this is terrible, and Nebula was like, we didn't say. He's like, oh, you guys didn't say anything, and she was like, no, like we were just hoping it would stop on its own, like you guys just talking, like just like that classic humor, of them just being silly, with one another. They all were. Everyone there was emotional. Really, really, really happy to be there. Sean Gunn, James Gunn brother, got really emotional talking about being there. Mantis, she really got emotional talking about being there, and Chris Pratt, he went over and gave a hug, and to the director, and just it's a conclusion, right? It's the end of something. So it was nice to see that they gave them that moment on the floor with the fans, because it's been 3 movies. Not too much to say there on the Guardians front, except for that wrapping of the bow. We also got then a quick look that they explained to us. Fantastic Four is coming in Phase 6, and that all the other dates of movies are going to be revealed, except to tell us that surprise, we're going to tell you what the next 2 Avengers movies are, which is what they're calling the Multiverse Saga. Phase 4, Phase 5, and Phase 6 is all the Multiverse Saga. And there's going to be 2 movies, Kang Dynasty and obviously Secret Wars, coming in. And those are both scheduled to be coming out the same year, one in May and one in November. I get a feeling something's going to get moved. 2 Avengers movies in the same year, even if they are connected. Pretty cool. Interesting. Thunderbolts was also announced, guys. Thunderbolts was also announced. I get a feeling that's kind of like the Civil War movie, like the Captain America Civil War kind of style film. You can see how Feige's following his blueprints, where you kind of saw in the original Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3, like that build up. I kind of see a similar thing going on here with Phase 4, Phase 5, and Phase 6, right? Like Phase 4 getting a lot of origin stories, Shang-Chi being introduced, Miss Marvel being introduced, right? Like you're getting a groundwork of these new Avengers in this thing. I think that's kind of the same thing like you saw like in Phase 1, right? Where like Iron Man and Thor and Captain America kind of got their base, and then like Phase 2, going to your Avengers film. So I think that's kind of the same thing they're doing here, not rushing back into the Avengers, but the Avengers are back. That's the important thing. Like they'd said, oh, it won't be a while. Well, Avengers movies are coming, and we know now what they're calling this the Multiverse Saga. We all knew everything was going multiverse anyways, but it's nice to have a name to it. Like how we knew right after the end of the first Avengers film that what was it, right? To challenge Earth is to court death or whatever, right? And Thanos turned around at that moment. It's like, well, clearly, this is the Infinity Saga. There's the Infinity Stones or the Infinity Gems in the comics, right? In this movies, it's the stones. Have to start being collected by Thanos. Well, in this one now, it's all about multiverse and time. And obviously, with Loki, if you've seen it, you understand how, King the Conqueror is all about time and the multiverse and the variants and the multivariants. Well, it's all super important. Same thing you're going to see with Quantum Mania now. I'm just saying the whole movie is primarily, Lang getting and his daughter getting sucked into the Quantum Mania world, the quantum realm. And they're going to these places. King is showing up, but this is not the benevolent King that or somewhat a more charismatic King that we saw in Loki. But now this is actually like Conqueror King that's gonna be showing up, and it's great to see because that's a huge character. King is a huge character, so it's nice to see them do it. And they're doing a little bit different, but it's still like the heart of King, and that's what we like. I love to see that, and the fans are eating it up. It seemed like everyone was really happy and excited about that. And Secret Wars, not much more can be said there because it's just the reveal that that's the story they're telling. Most of us comic book fans were aware of the storyline of Secret Wars. Probably talk more about this again later with Obed. Get into it more, try theorizing, digesting. But after they talked about all this stuff, Feige says, look, we talked about the past, we talked about the future, but now it's time to talk about forever. Lights black out. In comes in this beautiful, beautiful performance. These live performers, singers, musicians, artists coming in, singing, the Black Panther theme live in person, walking the halls. It felt like I've seen The Lion King live, the Broadway Lion King live. It felt like The Lion King was happening, like a show like that was going on in Hall H live, not just any performers. Like this is the actual people doing it. Like the guy singing it was straight up singing it, and it's like he sounds just like he's lip syncing or something, and he was legit singing it live. It's just that moment was so incredible. Everybody was just losing it. They had dancers coming out and started dancing, while they're playing the drums and singing and doing the Black Panther theme on stage was so awesome. Director comes on out. He ends up saying how this movie is how much of a love letter it is. Chadwick Boseman, now he misses him, and he remembers being with him. The last time he was there with Marvel was for the first Black Panther film, and he remembered Chadwick being with him and putting his arm on his shoulder, and just that was Chadwick's first time even seeing the Black Panther trailer. At that time was in Comic-Con with them, and how he was just so moved by it and was so happy to be there, and just and obviously the fans really embrace it. It's $1 billion film, we know that, right? So Marvel fans loved it. And Ryan Coogler was just expressing how with this movie how it really is that love letter again to Chadwick, and how he really feels like they're honoring him even though they know he's not physically there. They felt like they're honoring him in this film like as if he is there. You get the cast coming out, which was really awesome. Riri was brought on stage, who was Ironheart, which now goes direct, like the moment they have her, and when I saw the trailer I was like, okay, so probably some of those early leaks of what the storyline was, that the main plot points for Wakanda Forever are pretty much confirmed to me. Obviously until you sit down and actually watch the movie, things can be different, but as for me, that seemed to make me feel pretty confident about where the story's going and how Doctor Doom is Doctor Doom is almost 100% a guarantee now, but because they didn't dispute those leaked concept art, and the storyline is the exact same thing based on those leaks there. So that there's something there. Then you jump into talking about the whole footage that we saw. The trailer played it twice for us. Let me get back to the cast here for a second. Sorry, just as I'm kind of rerunning this all through my brain live of each of these moments. Again, I got more notes, but I'm just doing this raw in the moment. But yeah, with this one, you also have a moment, here where Tuma is announced, the actor for Tuma, and Namor is brought finally on stage, and it was just so cool to see everybody together, and everyone's so grateful and saying how they got an opportunity, they got a chance that literally saying like the actor played Namor was like, this is changing my life. He's like, if it wasn't for these opportunities, he's like, I would not be here. And I love to see that because not to get off on a rant or anything, but when I think of the early days of the MCU, yes, Robert Downey Jr. was a name, but he was a name that was kind of rebranding himself and redefining his career based on a new, almost like he created a new person, right? And kind of left the past behind him, and that's really, it's a powerful thing, personal and professional, and it was really great. But aside from that, Chris Hemsworth was not the Chris Hemsworth he is today, right? A name that people know. He was, no one knew who he was, generally speaking, right? In the first Thor movie, Chris Evans, was not a huge name. He had done, plenty of projects. People had seen him. People saw him as Johnny Storm, right, before, but not a huge blockbuster name like probably other Hollywood studios would have thought. And that's kind of the sense I got with this, where it's like going back to that point of, casting people who don't know who this actor is. You're not familiar with him. This isn't like you went out and got Ryan Gosling or something. Like someone people already know. Like, this guy is new, and he's saying I got a chance, and how he was so grateful for it. I love seeing that because Namor is not a small character. This is the future. When they talked about Phase 6 and left a bunch of dates empty, we have to imagine Namor is probably going to have a solo film in Phase 6. Probably. I don't say that with certainty, but at some point, whether Phase 6, Phase 7, I don't know. But at some point, Namor's probably going to be there, right? You don't just bring in the Submariner, the king of the ocean, just to have it. It's like how we knew, with T'Challa, showing up in Civil War. Well, then you get the Black Panther movie, right? Well, like in this movie, having Namor show up, in Wakanda forever, I'm pretty sure that's going to lead now to a Namor movie. So just oh my goodness. I mean, so much of that stuff happening there was just, you have to be in there to experience it, but it was worth the whole experience. It was great. What a great way to end the overall thing. Got a lot more thoughts, but that was just a quick rundown of everything going on there. I'm going to upload as much as I can, but please be patient. I know it's hard to say that when you're seeing a bunch of stuff going out, but No Load Time's got your back. We're doing the best we can as fast as we can. So stick with us. More to come. Tomorrow's day 5. Plenty more to come. I'm going to be out there again early, covering as much as I can. So stay tuned for that. Thank you again, everyone. See you soon.